Vanessa Feltz on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I'm bringing you breaking news. This story is just breaking right now. President Trump says he will impose 10% tariffs on NATO countries. Of course, that includes the UK, France and Germany. Why? Because we have deployed troops to Greenland amid US threats to take over the Arctic island. We're joined immediately by LBC's US correspondent, Simon Marks. Simon, you're quick off the block with this story. It's literally breaking now.
It has just dropped within the last few minutes, Vanessa, on Donald Trump's social media feed, a long posting in which he grouses about the situation in Greenland. He says, "We have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake," he says. He goes on to claim that Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands and Finland have, as he puts it, journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. Of course, what that is a reference to is the efforts by all of those countries to try and protect the sovereignty of Greenland and Denmark's administration of it. He describes that as a very dangerous situation for the safety, security and survival of our planet. He accuses all of those countries, including the UK, of playing a very dangerous game, and he says it is imperative that strong measures must now be taken so that this potentially perilous situation ends quickly. So, on February the 1st, 2026, all of the countries that he lists, including the UK, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. And then on June the 1st, he's going to increase that tariff to 25%. And he says those tariffs will remain in place until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. He goes on to claim that the United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years, which of course is flatly untrue. He also makes the usual false claims that the only things the Danes have provided to Greenland to defend it are a couple of dog sleds, and again voices the entirely false claims that the waters around Greenland are teeming with Russian and Chinese vessels. This is now a massive challenge for the Prime Minister and for Number 10, with Donald Trump saying an additional 10% in tariffs will be charged on all UK exports to the United States starting on February the 1st, and that number will increase to 25% on June the 1st, unless and until he is given clearance to acquire, he says here, to purchase Greenland. So, you know, once again, Vanessa, we are at the point where there is really going to be no opportunity for Number 10 and for the government to continue avoiding, real rupture in the relationship between the UK and the United States. And, you know, for everything that the government has said about how well it positioned itself in terms of securing an early trade agreement with President Trump, which of course has not led to any sort of full-scale proper agreement. Indeed, even the terms of that partial trade agreement are hanging by a thread. Now Donald Trump lumping the UK in with all of those other countries, basically accusing the UK, along with those other countries, of nefarious activities in Greenland, and insisting on unless he gets American mitts upon Greenland, those tariffs are going to be charged on 8 European countries, including the UK, starting on February the 1st.
All right. Historically, Simon, in your opinion, when the pips start to squeak, when countries are affected, as President Trump is obviously intending, in the pocket, where it hurts, where you feel the impact immediately, where business is under threat and everything else, what happens? Because, you know, as soon as we feel the strong arming of Trump, don't we quake and quail instantly and give in? Isn't that what we usually do? Is that what countries in general do?
I mean, that's certainly been the pattern over the course of the past year. But as you and I have discussed on numerous occasions, I mean, I think the option to continue doing that has been narrowing for quite some time. And this, of course, is going to lead to European leaders, I think, wanting to hold crisis talks about how to head all of this off. Remember that the Danish foreign minister and the Greenlandic foreign minister were here in Washington just a few days ago. They had a catastrophic meeting at the White House with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The deliverable that came out of that meeting was an agreement to set up a high-level working group designed to see whether any compromise could be found between the Trump administration and Denmark and its European allies over the future of Greenland. They said that the first meeting of that high-level group would take place within a matter of weeks. The White House then completely misrepresented the outcome of the meeting and said that the high-level group was not going to be looking at options for finding common ground. According to the White House, the high-level group was going to be negotiating the acquisition of Greenland by the United States. And that, of course, is not what the Danish foreign minister or the Greenlandic foreign minister agreed to only a matter of days ago here in Washington, D.C. This is Donald Trump again, absolutely going for broke, incinerating alliances across the Atlantic that have kept the peace for the last 80 years and delivering now another massive challenge to the Prime Minister as he's preparing to send the King and Queen here in April to begin commemorating, 250 glorious years of American independence. This is suddenly going to put a fresh crimp on the relationship and presents a very serious threat, of course, to British exporters and to those jobs.
Absolutely. And there'll be people now listening to the radio thinking, oh, my God, this gets me right in the absolute crux and cradle of my business, of my way of making a living. But let me ask you this. I know it's impossible to penetrate the skull of Donald Trump, but why do you think there is this absolute kind of obsession with Greenland? Why?
Well, I think there's several aspects to it. I mean, he always talks about the national security need for the United States to own Greenland, and he repeats this complete falsehood that the Russians and the Chinese are sailing vessels, destroyers and other naval vessels into the waters off Greenland when the Danes say they haven't seen a Chinese military vessel in 10 years in the waters off Greenland. So, I mean, he argues that as the dominant power in what he refers to as the Western Hemisphere, and he includes most of Greenland in the Western Hemisphere, America needs to control it. But as ever with Donald Trump, he's got his eye on the minerals. There's no question about that. Absolutely clear from what he's done in Venezuela, from other foreign policy actions that he's taken, that he's heavily guided by a desire to try and get American hands on valuable rare earths and other minerals that in this case lie or are believed to lie between Greenland soil. And there's a third group of people whispering into his ear about Greenland, and they are the tech bros who like the idea of this vast kind of undeveloped tract of wasteland where they would like to build server farms and all the aspects of the power-consuming elements that are going to power America's journey into the artificial intelligence industry. So there's all sorts of reasons why he wants it, and I think that for him, because he's so hostile to the NATO alliance in the first place, if the side benefit of this is that he absolutely incinerates the NATO alliance, I mean, I think he'll kind of view that as a result as well.
Can you conceive of any eventuality whatsoever whereby President Trump would be permitted to purchase Greenland?
Well, yes. I mean, I think that the eventuality would be the complete weakness of leadership in Europe if everybody gets together and says, well, we got to shrug our shoulders. What are we going to do? We better let him have it. But I mean, I think that this move today is absolutely designed to force that conversation and sow division among countries. And again, this is going to be crunch time now for the Prime Minister in terms of his bilateral relationship with President Trump.
Simon, I have to stop you there, but thank you very much indeed for bringing us this breaking news. Obviously, after the news that's coming up now at 5, we're going to continue with this story. Donald Trump will impose a 10% tax on all NATO countries, including the UK. He says world peace is at stake, and this is because we have opposed US plans to acquire Greenland. Taking your calls on this breaking news story, the potential cataclysmic.
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.